There's a saying, one man can do good. A fellowship can do a greater good. We'll be talking about that. Stay with us. Hi, thanks for joining us on Wordnet today. I'm your host, Jack Knight, and my guest is a fellow parishioner, a young man I've known for many, many years, and he is Richard Marciniak. He's the California director for, let's see, what's the full title, Richard?
State Director for Life Programs for the Knights of Columbus.
The Knights of Columbus is 120 years old almost.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about the origins of the Knights of Columbus.
They were founded by an Irish priest, Father McGivney. He found himself in a parish, really an Irish parish, and other immigrants, and he had a tremendous challenge. He had so many widows and orphans, of poor widows and orphans, that is his responsibility. You would say, well, why are you talking about widows and orphans? That's because in 1882, if you were Irish, the signs were up, you need not apply for a job. If you did get a job, you got the most dangerous jobs, and so therefore, industrial accidents and deaths, so he had a lot of widows and orphans that he needed to take care of. And that's why he created the Knights of Columbus in New Haven, Connecticut.
I've been to that church where Father McGivney served. It's quaint, it's really really lovely. And I remember that for years and years and years, they couldn't afford to put the steeple up after they built the church. And it took something like 75 years for finally to finish the church. But the work of the Knights of Columbus is ongoing, and has grown from that very small community in New Haven to how many worldwide?
2 million. 2 million members, largest Catholic men's organization in the world.
Catholic men's organization.
That is
no
correct.
women allowed.
Well, there are Columbiettes and Ladies of Isabel who work along with the Knights with their own organization. And so the women,
most fraternal lodges,
they're
the
partners.
Elks and so
They're
forth
partners.
have that. And also, I would imagine that the Knights of Columbus was kind of an alternative to something like the Masons. It was strictly a Catholic organization.
That is right. Catholics were not allowed in those organizations. And with Masons still so, but even other business organizations, Catholics were not welcome at that time. And in fact, the insurance companies would not even insure them because of their high risk factor. And that is why the Knights of Columbus created their insurance company, which took care of and provided for widows and orphans.
So that insurance company still is working now?
It is still working. It is one of the highest rated insurance companies in this country, has the highest ratings.
And also they have other branches, financial services and things like that. Tell us about that, because I never hear about it.
Well, they have insurance besides for life and equities and annuities. So there are a number of services, but you have to be a member in order to participate in that. And also for your children, you have to be a knight for your children and grandchildren. But it's a tremendous service that is provided by the Knights of Columbus. And the agent that you have is a knight. And they take particular attention to their brother knights when somebody passes away, and helping the widow with many different type of arrangements that they have, from funerals to just getting things together. That your brother. And so the agents are a brother also to those people. So it's a special service.
Whenever I'm in the company of other Knights of Columbus, they'll say, are you a Knight of Columbus? And I say, I'm a Knight of Massachusetts. I was born in Boston. I have thought in the past of joining, but busy schedule, kids, family, career, and so forth. But I do recall that the council at our parish used to have their own gathering room and so forth. And my grandfather, the Knights had special quarters in another building on the church property. And I also recall him as a fourth degree Knight wearing the regalia, the hat, the sword, the cape, and so forth, which I thought was really classy, but I had no idea what it was all about.
Well, that's the patriotic membership level. You have your first degree, second degree, third degree, and then you have the fourth degree. And you may not know it, but the Knights of Columbus are very patriotic. They take special care of their veteran members. They also included in the Pledge of Allegiance under God. The Knights of Columbus are
We're responsible for that?
Are responsible for that.
Now,
yes.
the first, second, and third degrees, how do you work yourself up?
Well, first of all, be the first degree. Become a member.
Yeah.
And so you have a fraternal brotherhood at that point in time, and you have to be sponsored by somebody, and you have to be a practical Catholic and have a parish. So you come in and you're initiated into that. There's a procedure, and then you go to the second degree, then the third degree. Now, the importance of the third degree is that you have to be an officer or elected to a position, you have to be at least third degree. After that, you can have any position going all the way up to the Supreme Knight.
So there is a hierarchy, as
there
it
is,
would
yeah,
be.
yeah. You work your way up.
You work your way up. Now, with nearly 2 million members worldwide, and I didn't know that the Knights of Columbus was not just exclusive to the United States. And where in the world are they most prolific?
Well, they're in 14 or 16 other countries, really prolific in Canada, Mexico, the Philippines, Poland, and a number of other European countries. But I would say 2/3 of the members are within the states. But you know, when we have our annual election of the Supreme Knight, delegates from all those nations come together. This year we had to do it virtually. That's the first time ever. But so there's an election there. There's an election at the state level every year. Every state has its own state deputy. And then there's election at chapters that pull a number of councils together. And there's an election at the council itself. The council is to be at a parish. The council is the base of the Knights. In order to understand how the Knights are so effective and so powerful in getting services out to the community, you have to understand the structure. The council is located at a parish, reports to the parish priest, is under the direction of the parish priest, and also the state deputy.
And how many local councils are there in the United States?
Well, in the world, there's 14,000 councils.
Yeah.
In California, there's 700 councils. So as the director of life, I work with 700 Grand Knights in getting the programs of life out.
Now tell me, programs of life, what is that all about?
Well, there's a number of different programs. And I'd like to first just speak, if there's a national initiative, how that goes. So like with COVIDs, you know, there are millions of people who are kind of confined to their house and can't get out, can't get food. Our Supreme Director said to all Knight councils, take care of your neighbor, you know, take care of let no neighbor, you know, suffer. So that went out. So everyone is doing that.
To do that.
And so like in the Archdiocese of Los Angeles, where we have probably 280 councils, we worked with the Archbishop, and so our Knights, from a single phone call, anybody can call the Archdiocese number for help. And so our Knights are then assigned that, and they will go out and do the shopping, get the food, and if people can't pay for the food, they'll get the food to them, and the Archdiocese will reimburse us. Of course, Supreme sent out over $1 million to the state of California alone for this.
Now, that part of knighthood also includes pro-life programs?
Well, that
Pro-life
is kind of a life.
marches and
That's
things?
a culture of life, quality of life program. So, a number of programs. Let me talk about several of them. Okay, we have our Marches for Life because we are very pro-life. So we support the lives of the unborn. You know, we've had what, over 60 million abortions in this country. You know, over 60 million. That's a whole generation wiped out. And usually, Planned Parenthood target the minority communities, the Black, the Hispanic, the Filipino, and so that's where most of our work for pro-life. We have our bishops marching with us throughout the country and testifying to life, the value of life. So, like in recent years, besides numerous walks and marches for life to give testimony, we've had 3 major ones in California. And so we had one in San Diego. That's usually about 6,000 or 7,000, and that's in January usually. And in LA, our Archbishop marches with us. And we have like 30,000. And then up in San Francisco, they closed down the whole Market Street, and we march from the cathedral down to City Hall, and then from City Hall all the way down to the Bay.
Are there other programs like that in your area?
Oh yeah, there are many sub-programs,
yeah,
and we encourage all of our consuls to work with 40 Days for Life, okay?
Yes, I've seen
Okay,
that.
right, and we ask, all parishes are supposed to have a Respect for Life committee, and so we ask our brother knights to work with the Respect for Life, and if there's not a 40-day for life program in their area, to create one together with that.
This is kind of an insurance policy for the unborn.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fantastic. And so then, like, you know, they had the movie recently, Unplanned. You know, that was a big pro-life. The Knights we worked with, the film producers. There were 4 of them, all of them brother Knights. And
very
they
good.
produced one of the most successful movies. And so we promoted that throughout the state. So, and so we work with other organizations, okay? So for example, one that you're familiar with is the Family Theater, Father Peyton's
I remember
theater
Father Peyton. He
on
bounced me
Sunset.
on his knee when I
Did
was
he now?
an infant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We're
And
gonna
I saw
talk-
him when I was, you know, as in my youth, you know, I went to the seminary and I was there for 10 years. And I remember Father Peyton when I went to one of his Rosary Crusades in Minneapolis, St. Paul, filled the stadium.
Filled the stadium in
Yeah.
Sao Paulo, Brazil. 2 million people
And likewise,
showed up
I
for
think
that.
the largest one ever was in Manila, Philippines.
Oh,
I mean, and everybody, you know it, Gigi's knows it, and he was a fantastic. They have a movie coming out. You know,
I know about that.
he's-
We'll talk
right.
about that too.
Okay.
He could talk the ears off a statue.
Okay.
Incredible. Stay with us because we're going to be coming back and talking more about Knights of Columbus and also how Richard came to be that after being 10 years in the seminary. So stay with us.
Do you want to fall in love with God? I'm sure we all want to. The book of Psalms contains the directions. Thousands of years ago, people like you and me talked to God out of the depths of their hearts, revealing an intimate love. Psalms are the expression of the faith in God by people around 3,000 years ago. God was not a mere abstract creator, but was present, involved, and a real person of power and emotions. Now, when we read or listen to the Psalms, we can know the intensity of this love. Entering into the influence of the Psalms, we can find a path to know and love God. To know more about the Psalms, you should get a copy of Father Mike Manning's booklet, The Psalms. It will help you to understand the 150 Psalms better as he has categorized them. He uses the technique of acts: adoration, contrition, thanksgiving, and supplication. Get your copy today and know the categories. Learn to pray with the Psalms.
Call the number on the screen or email us. You can also get it through our website. Get your copy today.
Thanks for staying with us. We're with Richard Marciniak, a fellow parishioner of mine, who is a California director of life programs for the Knights of Columbus. And we've talked about their programs, how it started, and the work that they're doing, and the enormous number of people who are Knights. But we haven't talked much about Richard. So you were not a native Californian. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Illinois, rural Illinois. I was a farm boy and did all the work that a farmhand does. And I started off in a one-room school, 8 grades, 1 teacher, and outdoor toilets. I was 10 years old before I lived in a house with electricity and running water
This
and
sounds like
toilets.
1855. What year was that?
That was in the 40s, 41 to 50. And I used to walk my pet goat to the schoolyard.
Get out.
And tied him up and then right back with my goat. Oh,
I should have said, when you say that again, I used to walk to school with my pet goat.
Yeah, I used
Say
to.
it.
I used to walk to school with my pet goat.
Nah. Couldn't resist.
At the time, I thought I was an underprivileged kid. Now, today,
This is a public school.
Oh, yeah, it was a public school. Yeah. And so, I just would not give that experience up today. It was so rich, so rich. Yeah, and so from there, after 8th grade, I went off to the seminary for 10 years and joined the Crozier Fathers.
Where was that?
That was in Minnesota, then Nebraska, the Novitiate, and Fort Wayne, Indiana for the major house of studies, where many of our professors went also taught at Notre Dame University. And so after 10 years, and I'd been heavy into social activities working with the migrant workers, I decided not to go forward. And then I went to University of San Francisco Law School. That was 65, just when Haight-Ashbury was developing and the Vietnam
A lot of
protests.
temptations.
Out of a monastery. I hit that. I arrived in San Francisco with a suitcase and $35, okay? And fortunately, I was able to, that summer, put things together and do law school with a grant. And after that, I went to trust banking, okay? Had no social mission. So after a year and a half, I left that, and God blessed me with an opportunity to have a career in healthcare at the LA County USC Medical Center, the largest acute hospital teaching medical center in the country at the time.
Isn't that where you met a certain lady?
Oh yes, that's where I met my wife, Barbara, and we've been married 50 years this December.
Mazel tov.
Yeah, 3 daughters, each of them have 3 children.
9 grandchildren?
9 children. Each of the 3 daughters, middle name was Marie. I think Our Lady has blessed us.
How about
And
that?
all of them have remained true to the church. All of them have each of their 3 children enrolled in Catholic school. I could not be more blessed.
I have just been blessed with a granddaughter, my first,
Oh.
and it's,
It is amazing.
up
isn't
in
it?
the air.
Life-changing, huh?
I was sitting in my
game changer.
office and I looked at a picture that I have hanging on the wall of me at probably a year and a half. Certainly I was a toddler, could walk around. And I looked at that picture and I looked at her photograph and I said, the genes have skipped a generation, because I swear I see her in me, or vice versa. So it's a wonderful thing to have children. When you left the seminary, you get into work, you're in a job. Now, how do you get into the Knights of Columbus? What happened?
A good friend of mine in our parish, Tom O'Malley by name, invited me in, and that was a life changer. And I would say to every Catholic man out there, it's a life changer. You have a brotherhood, a fraternity that will work with you, support you, and you, as a knight, you can develop your own program, and at the church, and you can support your local elementary Catholic school. That's where we get a lot of our members, because we're working to help the schools. And in today's world, especially right now, so many of our Catholic schools are in danger of being closed because of COVID and the financing. They need the knights more than ever. And so the parish priest and the principal should be looking to their knights and ask them for support. And definitely.
I remember my first days in the parish that most of the fellas that were knights were older. But now I see a resurgence of membership, and there's a pretty strong mix, and it's, I think, now getting heavy on the younger men's side, which is good.
Right. Yeah, we could still get younger, but because we work with the parishes and their schools so much, that brings in the younger parents, because we're helping their students out, and they join in the activity. Very definitely see.
Now, I know that our council sponsors a Halloween program and some other ones. I remember
Easter
selling hot
egg
dogs
hunt,
in one of them.
pancakes,
Chili breakfast.
chili breakfast, you name it. And they've also committed so that no parishioner, practicing parishioner in our parish student is denied education because of finances. So we made that commitment 20 years ago, okay, and that remains true.
How many students in our school?
There are approximately 270, if I remember correctly, or sometimes it gets up with kindergarten and the preschool and so on. It's over 300. Yeah.
There's nothing like a Catholic education.
Catholic education, a Catholic school at a parish gives life to that parish and will keep it going. Your parish loses a Catholic school, it's in jeopardy of having to close itself. That's my saying. That's no one else has said that.
My recollection of grammar school and Catholic school was nuns in the habit, priests were revered, and the kids were better behaved, and there was, addition to reading, writing, and arithmetic, there was a little bit of arts, not much sports, but a kind of sense of community and order, and wouldn't give it up for, I'd do it all over again.
Yeah.
Then I went to junior high school at a public school because they had sports teams. And my parents thought, because we came from an athletic family, that maybe that would be the ticket to a college education.
Jacket. In Los Angeles with our school system, and that went by the way, I mean, for the most part. The Catholic schools have better sports programs today than CYO with Catholic Youth Organization and their games, and the Knights participate in those programs and competitive. We have local soccer kickoff, free throw contests that go from the local to the state and international rewards for students. The Knights are very involved with the schools. They have spelling bees. They have essay contests. I mean, the Knights, if the schools reach out to them, can do so much for them.
I don't want to brag, yes I do, but my parish in 1954 sent 3 basketball teams, on which I was pretty good because my dad was the coach. We went to the New England Basketball CYO Championships.
Really?
And we won. Those 3 teams won the championship in their divisions.
Mm.
So I was pretty close to that.
Yeah.
And I can remember, guys, I do not think that my parish had a council, but certainly St. Joseph's down the way, and my grandfather was active, they did.
Yeah. Well, even if a parish doesn't have a council, they have roundtables at a parish, because you have to have 25 to 30 members, active Catholics, in order to create a council, okay, at a parish. And the priests are often very excited about creating one, so they go out of their way to to create it because they're just there to serve the parish priest.
So you got a bunch of guys,
Yeah.
like-minded, who are willing to pay back and sit them down at a round table, and you can have your own council in your church.
If you get up to 25 members, in the meantime, the round table supports the parish, the schools, and they're members of this council. Okay, so they get the support of the whole national.
What does it
Nice.
cost to be a member?
It depends by council. It's maybe 50 members, $50 a member, maybe a little more, a little less. There's now a new membership where for people who can't attend local meetings and so on, so that you don't have to join a particular council, you can become a member now. You can go
As
right
a
to the
supporter.
computer, and
Yeah.
that's right, and you can support the local council, or membership gives you the right to go to any night's meeting.
So if
of
you're
the
out of town and
14,000.
feel the need for some fellowship and
Yeah,
support,
you just call, you go on the computer, you put in a zip code or something like that, it'll tell you where it is, how to contact it. You can be in Croatia, Italy, Spain, France, Germany, Poland. You can, and you want to get a taste of the local flavor, it's yours as a night. And you just sign up and they get all the literature and information. It's tremendous.
I would imagine that if you traveling in Europe and you could find a local council, somebody who spoke a little bit of English, that would be a real asset. I don't think a tour guide would be telling you,
no.
hey, yeah, your Knights of Columbus here, they can help you out.
That's right.
That's
I
amazing.
once went to Israel with our cardinal, with the Knights of the Holy Sepulchre, and that group supports all the local churches and so on. And we got to meet with the local Catholic Palestinians. Sit down and have dinner with them. They treated us like kings.
Really?
It's unreal. And of course, the
One
Knights.
wouldn't think that you go to Jerusalem and find Knights of Columbus.
Well, those weren't Knights. They were
What do they call them?
Knights of the Holy Sepulchre.
Yeah.
Okay, but the Knights also have worldwide initiatives. We do billions of hours of volunteer work and hundreds of millions of dollars for especially the persecuted Christians right now. That's a special program. Before we end, Jack, I want to talk about a particular treasure of the Knights in California called the Rancho San Antonio Boys Home.
Yes, I've been there, and it's outstanding.
Isn't
And
it?
the Knights supported and built that.
And built that, yeah, the whole
And what's their
acreage.
success rate?
Well, the success rate there is 85%. Usual wards of the court, and they are all wards of the court assigned there, are like 35% is considered good. But what the Knights do, besides building and supporting the grounds, they also provide funds for after the young gentlemen turn 18.
Richard, so great to have
Yeah,
you with us.
likewise.
So great to have you with us. Please come back with us. We'll see you again next time.